Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, and welcome to season 2 of Kullina Tuhaf. Today is the first episode, and I have a special guest to start off the season. And before we dive any deeper into her, I'm going to allow her to introduce herself, where you're from, and what you do.
Hello, assalamu alaikum, اسمي Jennah, also known as Jennah's Art Museum, and I'm a Libyan artist. مالية من الشرق من الغرب ومولودة في أمريكا لكن عايشة في طرابلس الحمد لله. When we moved to Libya when I was younger, my parents really wanted to put us in public Libyan schools because they wanted us نتعاشر مع بين ناسنا وثقافتنا وندوي لهجتنا. خاطر العربي يعني سهل مش سهل إن تقيمين برا عكس الإنجليزي لكن I try to show that in my work.
Right. So yeah, that's you.
Yeah, it's me. When we came back to America recently, it was literally just for school, and then inshallah نرجع ونعاون البلاد.
Inshallah, yeah.
But yeah, معظم رسمي يحترم الثقافة والتاريخ الليبي، لكن يعني الهم يجي من أي حاجة.
Right.
اللي يشغل بالي فوق ده نمشي بيه.
Right. So how did you get into art? Like الفن كيف جاء في حياتك؟
هو خشيت فيه من كنت صغيرة. It was always there. Like I want to say it's kind of like in my blood kind of situation. It was natural. But عائلتي الحمد لله, like they're very creative. من بابا عنده عين ما شاء الله, where he's an amazing architect, and like he used to get bored, and like there was this one time where he turned balconies into like bathrooms and living room, and like he's really creative, as well as like on my mom's side where she had an uncle that was like really into it. وفي بداية الثورة, like right after الثورة كان يزور فينا في طرابلس, and like we have paintings everywhere. So he used to like يقعمز عليها في الصبح يدقق عليها بالقهوة. So it's very natural. It's like it's in my family. Also like community, like Libyans are also very creative, and I've had teachers who very much encouraged it. And like I had like a history teacher, which is funny, who when I was in her class I used to draw a lot.
Right.
And there was one time this one time كانت تشرح, and I literally drew a portrait of her, and she saw it and she was like, Jennah, like you have potential. أنا متعرفيش تتعاملي. And I remember like at the time I was mad because I was like, you're a history teacher? Like I am never going to use this in my life. We used to get in arguments about how like I'm never going to use like history ever. And now we did a full 180, and most of my art is about Libyan history and culture.
What's funny is that I'm personally offended by that. As a lover of history, I'm offended that you think history is useless.
I am offended too. I'm honestly kind of embarrassed of my younger me for that.
So pretty much family and culture is your inspiration, you would say.
Definitely.
So is like when you go to create work, is that your process into doing it? Or what is your process when you go to create your art pieces? Or is everything or each piece is different?
Honestly, كل حاجة بجوها الحق. I would say it isn't necessarily a process. لو حاجة تشغل بالي في مدة, then I'll just do an art piece on it, especially if it's like something about a social issue that I think that more people need to know about, or like people have asked for it. But it's like if I do a lot of research about it and I'm still thinking about it and I think more people should know about it, then I'll turn it into an art piece. But other than that, I don't really plan except for series, because if I'm doing a series, I want people to look at it and be like, even though يشوفوها بروحها, they can click the dots and be like, oh, this is connected with that. And
okay,
that's the only thing.
So is like what started you making series on culture and history?
There was a couple of moments where like it just kind of like added up to where we are today.
Like what?
Well, there was this college art class that I took where that was the first time, because before that I only did portraiture and just like faces, and that was it. But our teacher, like for the class, we had to do like a little series of like a portfolio, and دارنا lista, and he was like اختاروا منها, and I did portraiture and identity, and he was like, I was gonna do Muslim in America, and he was like, nah, dig deeper. And
Yeah, that's a general topic, to be honest.
yeah, he was like, you're more than that. And it was just like, it just opened a hole in the door, because he was like, you need something that makes you stand out. And being Libyan, I feel like there's a lot to do with that would make us stand out.
Right.
Also, there was a mudda not so long ago where a lot of people were kind of spreading misinformation about Libya.
Yeah,
And yeah,
that was a fun time
that was a fun
for a
time.
lot of my friend groups. I
So
had
much.
to basically back us up. I was the spokesperson for all of Libya, pretty much.
Same. Oh my God. It was too much. I've literally like cut off so many people at that time. But that time really infuriated me, just because like seeing how divided, and like people didn't know much about Libya, but then they were like, you had these people who were like, yeah, Libya deserves what it got. Like, no, what's happening now, even though it's not what you think, is because Libya is the way it is today. So just seeing that divide and how like people are disconnected, because I was getting in a lot of arguments with people, and I was like, Bladik, why are you sharing this? And a lot of them were like, oh, like I'm not really connected with Libya. This is what I know, and all of that. So that kind of like, I was like, okay, we need to change something, because I was also like putting on my story, because I was like defending Libya all the time. And I was like, do you guys even know what's happening in Libya? What's been happening? And a lot of people said no. So that started the history series. But just like watching, also like watching our culture kind of fade away with time. And I just generally didn't want to be part of the problem. So I was like, I have something to offer, but نقرأت في ليبيا وعارفة التاريخ. Like I know where to look for if I want stuff, right? So it was just like taking that, translating in English, so people who lived abroad understood it, and non-Libyans can read it, because most of if you find something that's Libya related, it's usually in Arabic. So that had, it's like that started a lot of this.
Oh, there's a basically like a difficulty between Libyans who don't know Arabic, or Arabic isn't their strong suit, because then you can't really learn more about your country.
That's why my thing is like writing in English, because like it's more spoken and
Mhm.
more people know about it.
Right.
So
Because
I think
I feel like لو عايش في ليبيا it's a little bit easier. لو عايش ما بين ناسك لو then لما انت عايش هنا you like, yeah, there's a lot of Libyans here, but it's not the same as living at home. You don't get the same
that
cultural influences. So it's
definitely.
harder to learn about things when you're so far away from it.
Yeah, no, definitely, I agree. I'm not like being like, oh, I'm not like putting much blame on people who be like, it's just,
Yeah,
it's complicated.
yeah. So because of that, do you feel the need to educate people on culture because of the lack of like relation to the country?
That, yes, that I feel like people need to be educated about the culture. Just there's better people to do it, who are more knowledgeable. I'm just doing what I can and what I could offer.
But see, if it's not for people like you, then who? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like الناس اللي يفهموا مش كلهم يتكلموا انجليزي, ولا مش كلهم are bothered to teach, you know?
Mm. Who Here's the thing. It all kind of change starts individually, as cheesy as that sounds.
Yeah,
Um, but like it's like, okay, at some point we can't just like sit back and just complain. That's my
right,
thing.
right.
At some point we gotta خلاص فيدنا, right? لو مش احنا, who is it gonna be?
Right. You start with yourself, and then slowly people will join for the ride.
Inshallah. And honestly, I've like a lot of people are trying to like do change, and a lot of people are like, يجربوا يعاونوا like doing their parts.
But not all of them have the platform,
Not yeah, exactly.
which is what you have. So
Exactly.
personally, I'm thankful that somebody like you is doing the work. Because if not for you, then people like me are not educated on cultural matters. Like the series about the similarities between the North African cultures.
Mm-hmm.
That one I really enjoyed because yes, I know because I have friends from all over North Africa, so I know a little bit that we have similarities, but to get more in depth into it is really, really nice to see.
Thank you.
So when you did the posts on North African culture and history, like what inspired that? And like how much research did you do in order to educate people?
And I started branching out to the North African. It was okay. So like it was just a bunch of conversation with friends where they also like within their own communities where they had the disconnection, as well as like it was a couple stuff. It's always a couple stuff, but there was also this whole thing where like Libya is like being tossed to the side by everyone, and honestly, I don't have an issue with that. My only issue is when like North Africa is like, oh, this is North African, this is North African, or this is Maghrebian, this is Maghrebian, and like they never when they say Maghrebian, they're referring to the three countries. And that's problematic because you end up with like stuff that's connected to Libya that people don't associate with Libya. So my whole thing with that is like just giving Libya a bigger of a presence and be like, oh, you see the similarities because our origins are the same, and the
What's
similarities.
influenced us influenced them as well.
Yes, exactly. Like if it's not حاجة يعني تخصنا عادي, don't claim it. I don't care. I'm just claiming what's Libyan, you know, and giving
Right,
presence to Libya that is Libyan.
right.
So it was just more like it was that also like if I want because I also wanted to like branch out because if I'm gonna put a bigger presence on Libya
Mhm.
and I want more people to advocate and know about her, I'm gonna have to branch out to people who are not Libyan.
Right.
So that also played a part of it. But as for the research, I did a lot of research on myself, like in Mehndi. لكن في نفس الوقت I also like asked people from those cultures to participate simply because when you're doing someone's culture, حتى like Libyan culture, it's such a big responsibility and it's better not to do it at all than to do it wrong.
Right.
And yes,
100%.
like as Muslims, like we see it, like and when we look at the media, we are never represented right. Like whenever there's a hijabi, she always takes it off and she's always oppressed and all that fun stuff. And they get hella creative with it too. Like I'll give them props to that. But but I don't it's just too problematic. And when you do that with someone's culture, it's just too much damage.
It's culture appreciation versus culture
Yeah,
appropriation.
exactly. So yeah, I just don't want to do that. It's an amana. So
Right.
whenever I do culture or anything, I always run it by people from those countries and I try to run it by as many as I could. And then or like have my research, run it by them and let them reword it in a way where they feel is more correct. And that's why when you slide on my art stuff, it's like you can see their texts. And then sometimes I would reword it depending on how many people disagree.
So what did you hope from gaining such a like what did you hope to gain from making such a series?
Um, I didn't have much to gain for myself. It was more like I wanted just people to reconnect with like Libyans abroad, to reconnect with Libya as well as Libyans in Libya, to reconnect with Libyan history that they might have not known. Um, my thing is with this account, like I really want to create like a space where people feel like they want like they could just DM me and be like, hey, like it would be cool if you could do this art piece about this thing, and just have it be a place where people can like share different cultures, you know. It was that also like bringing more attention to like Libya's situation, either like literally anything related to Libya, because my head is she's gonna like, appreciate her more than Libyans, you know. ولو مكبروا بقى يبدأ من Libyan.
Right. And you can't really find things on Google dedicated to
Yeah.
Libya.
So like just that, starting conversation about her and just like كبروا بها شوية.
Right. So do you think you're gonna make more like this because of the feedback you got on the last one? Or where do you think it's gonna go from here?
Like the بدلة, like بدل
No,
that.
like the entire series as a whole. Do you think you're gonna be doing more series targeted towards culture in general? Or like where do you think it's gonna go from here in with your work?
I'm not completely sure, to be honest. I do think Libya like would have an influence on my work in anything, just because when I draw something, like I really want people to look at it and be like, oh, that's clearly done by a Libyan, or that's clearly Libyan. Like I have this art, this one beach drawing that whenever anybody looks at it, they're like, oh, how the pad Libya. I'm like, yes. And it brings so much joy to me when people like notice it. So I want that to be a thing with all my works. But I also don't want to put myself in this one box because I'm still young and like I might change interests in a while, you know? Like I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. But like I do think there would be a Libyan influence in everything I do.
You think you're gonna do more educational posts though?
Definitely. I'm actually working on something that I'm like really excited about, but like probably won't post until the summer. But I've been like,
Till the summer.
yeah.
Sneak
Mo,
peeks?
like
Any sneak peeks?
I'll tell
Anything I
you
can get?
depending on how far I get with my research, or else I'll just post the sketches because I think a lot of people should know more about this stuff. But
Ooh.
juicy. But it was I started doing a lot of research in the rumuz, that like in carpets and like the Amazigh rumuz, and it's so
Oh,
interesting.
that is really cool. I actually, funny you say that. I know somebody that's trying to do more stuff into that. So I'll get you acquainted. I'll get you acquainted because she's also looking into doing things like carpets and things like that.
That would be awesome because like it's hard to find, but it's when you do, it's so fun. And especially after like you start memorizing them, like you start seeing stuff, it's awesome.
The inspiration is endless.
Wallahi, it is.
So, do you feel connected to Libya, or do you feel some sort of connection to Libya through your work?
Yes, I think over like now that I'm older, I like the more research I've done about Libya and like the heritage and the culture, I generally do feel more connected simply because like I know more and about myself and my history. Um, compared to like 2 years ago, where like like teenage years are confusing as they are, but like being between Libya and here, it has its own confusion.
Right.
So just like after reconnecting and like learning more, I definitely think I'm more confident in my Libyan identity, therefore more connected.
That's what I feel as well. Because I know when I was younger, I had the same thing, and
Mm-hmm.
then slowly, I started to discover more about Libya, more about myself, and I started to solidify my Libyan roots within myself. And
Mm-hmm.
now I feel more Libyan than I ever did. And I think because of that, I know in the future it'll definitely it just I have a better picture of myself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, it definitely builds confidence just
Exactly.
knowing your origins.
Exactly.
I do find joy and like connection when I share Libyan stuff. And that could go literally
Right.
anywhere from like sharing culture, sharing pictures of bidla, or حتى يعني ندوي بلهجتي.
But don't you feel like with the lahja, it's a little bit difficult when لما انت عايش برا. Like مثلا انا صحابي عندي عرب صحاب لكن من جميع انواع واشكال من الناس. Not all of them understand Libyan, right? So don't you feel like it's a little bit difficult
Yeah.
to maintain your Libyan accent when speaking to such individuals?
No. Okay, so في النهاية, here's my thing, right? I will rather have people ask me what does this word mean than completely disregard my whole dialect. My dialect comes from our history and after colonization and all of that, and that's why it's different
Right.
between each region, each city.
Right.
It's words that we choose to pick and keep, right? كلمات اليوم معنى لينا. لكن في النهاية, like no matter like, so like even though it's a mix of languages, في النهاية it's still a لهجة عربية, and anyone من شبه الجزيرة العربية المغرب الكبرى should be understanding each other because it is Arabic, regardless of how many like, because okay, في المغرب الكبرى, the way we speak it is what makes it sound foreign, because we speak it with the phonotypes of how we would speak Tamazight, I believe. And we mix in other languages. So the problem is شبه الجزيرة العربية are not used to the way we speak it. So if we speak it more often, it's literally a matter of whom they get used to it. That's literally it. It's like, it's mostly Arabic. It's just the way we speak it. And honestly, I do think anyone who would ask someone to only speak in their dialect, like يعني لو أنا بدوي مع واحد مغربي مش هنقول له يعني غير لهجتك معايا. I will ask them to slow it down باش نفهمها. Necessarily if I don't understand a word. Yeah. But like I wouldn't completely be like, oh, بسطها لي باش نفهم.
But see,
like I feel like that is so rude and dismissive.
I don't get that. Like people don't tell me like غير لهجتك. I do it just to do it because I know if I speak مش هيفهموني شو نقول. You know?
But that's because they're lazy. Like, not to be mean to anyone, but like لهجتك تاريخك فصحى
But
تراثك.
it's also because they're not accustomed to it. We're more accustomed to,
well,
like, look at it this way, right? When you go on NBC, tamam, what shows do you see the most? They're either Khaliji, Lebanese, Masriyin, Syrian, ما فيش برامج ليبية. So the media that we consume are of every nation except for our own. And because of that,
هو في برامج ليبية, they're just not.
yeah, but they're not on, like, everybody else isn't consuming it, right? We consume their media, they're not consuming ours. بدأت حتى الأغاني العربية، معظم الأغاني العربية المشهورة في العالم العربي مش بس في ليبيا، like العالم العربي مش أغاني ليبية, like none of them are أغاني ليبية. So they all understand each other easily ما بين العرب, other than the North Africans, because of the media that is being consumed, you know?
It's because of the media at the same time, and just also because احنا نغير في لهجتنا. It's literally احنا نفهموا فيهم because we've been exposed to it for so long. أو ما احنا ندوي معهم المفروض ندوي بلهجتنا باش هم they get exposed to it, right? That's
Yeah.
It's a process, and it starts within us. زي ما قلنا بكري, and like change starts within individuals.
Inshallah, slowly we'll see more Libyan media out there.
There are a lot of good Ramadan shows. Have you like?
There's one coming out soon on Malik Idris. It's being recorded in Tunis, if I'm not mistaken. One of the characters from Bab al-Hara is actually in it.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, it's being recorded in Tunis. I don't know if it's going to be on Libyan channels or who's recording it. All I know is the guy from Bab al-Hara. I think Abu Shahab. He's going to be playing Malik Idris or something like that. I forget what it is, but inshallah, it'll slowly start showing Libyans to the world.
There's this whole new wave where I'm seeing, mashallah, where Libyans are like turning historical events into shows. Like there's a lot of shows where like you have Zingatiri, you have Sarah or something like that. I don't know. There's a couple. Or Zaimain. Like, and a lot of them are باللهجة الليبية, which makes me so proud. Because like we're finally like putting it out there. We are like Libi.
Inshallah, more people start seeing it.
Inshallah.
we get the recognition that we so
Yes.
deserve.
Also, Libyans need to like hype them up.
Definitely.
I'm like planning to just post all about that during Ramadan.
Inshallah. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, mashallah. Wallahi, like those shows are like, even though they're entertaining, they are also like educational. Exactly. And like even my friends here, like we're watching it and like, oh, I actually didn't know that. And it's amazing. Like you're enjoying it and it's educational.
Exactly. So where do you hope to see your work going from here?
Okay. So I think this would forever be like, this will always be something. Like it would, like right now it's a side thing. Like I have school and, you know, college and all that. But at some point, like I really want to do an art gallery, and I want to do one for Trablis, like Medina Qadima. I feel like that's like the naba mtal culture. So I really want to do one over there as well as one over here.
That having an art gallery in Trablis in Medina Qadima would be beautiful, because I think it's like the center of culture in Trablis at least.
Yeah.
And I know there's something similar in Benghazi. I just forget the name of it. But even there would be like the center of culture. Like you grab everything from everything, and it just like encompasses into one beautiful work. And that's like the goal one day, is to go back and do something of the sort, where you have all these like different cultures, متخلطين ومتجمعين. Well, not cultures, but like different people within Libya. Because like الغرب والشرق different, والجنوب والشمال مختلفات. Like حتى ما بين طرابلسي وطرابلسي يختلفوا.
Oh yeah.
You know? I want to go back, and like creative agency is like the one thing that I want to go back to, and have Libyans from all over Libya there. You have like Shergawi, Ali Gharbawi, Ali Zwari, Ali واحد من جبل نفوسة, whether it be I forget the names, but just like ولا من طوارق ولا
yeah.
just like جميع أنواع وأشكال من الناس. Because like the one thing that I see is diversity. We're such a diverse culture, and we have so much talent, so much differences. There needs to be something that links us all. And the only thing that I see is art.
هذا like لو ترجعي لك 2012 كان 2013 كان في منا هلبة يعني a lot of people were like bringing each other's culture up في Libya, but that, like I don't know, I'm talking Trablus, right? A lot of that was going on. I don't know when it stopped. I don't know if it's like whatever, but it was there. Like people were, mashallah.
Post-revolution, I saw Libya going in the right way.
Yeah.
Even now, present day, it's gonna start going in the right way.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, Rabbi sakharla Libya. Like political ideologies is what like you started to see differences. But other than that, like everything was, all Libyans were, it was all positive. Everything was going in the right way. Like كلنا شعب واحد. Even the one thing that was so amazing about the Thawra is everyone معاش فرقنا ما بين جنوب والشمال ولا الغرب والشرق. فرقناش بكل, كلنا شعب واحد. And that's the one thing that like we need to start doing more of as Libyans. معاش مفروض نفرقوا ما بين الليبيين.
Unity.
احنا like yes, we're different. Everyone is different. Every individual is different. Like even ما بين, like I said, طرابلسي وطرابلسي, ما بين الجار والجار يختلفوا. هذا يحب الطيارات وهذاك يحب السيارات, هذاك يحب الافلام وهذاك يحب الموسيقى. You know, we're very, very different. Every individual person is unique. As cliche as that sounds, every single person is unique. لكن كلنا تحفة. كلنا تحف من الأخير. You know? literally, like everyone is amazing and unique in their own different ways, regardless of where they are or how they see themselves. Everybody is different. Like as much as we have the same interests, it's still,
Yeah.
we don't have the same viewpoints.
Yeah.
You know?
And the difference isn't necessarily bad. It just need to be embraced and focused as a term of unity, not to separate people.
Exactly. Exactly. So, for the final question,
Mm.
what's one thing you would like to leave people with? Um, whether it be about your work or about yourself, just advice or a comment, pretty much.
Um, I think generally, like for myself, it would be like just to send pictures, like any pictures of Libya, because A, like I love looking at them. B, I'm more likely to draw them than not. And if you guys like, if anybody has like literally anything that they want me to do an art piece about, literally just let me know. Second thing would be to just question the culture and like, because like there's resources if like there is resources, it's just they're hard to find.
Mhm.
So once like you question the culture and like you either find an answer to it, whatever, just spread that information, like make it like a fun fact, you know. Also, I think a lot of the younger youth, there are a lot of them who mashallah are very bright
Mhm.
and they have amazing ideas. However, a lot of them don't do anything simply because they don't know how to, or they're generally afraid of putting themselves out there. And it's fair. My thing would be, and this is like the advice that I was given when I started all of this, was as long as what you're doing goes with Libyan morals, and like even if you're gonna like, oh, Hajj Mshajbadak, and you want to like I don't know, change it up a bit, as long as it's still respectable, I think people would generally like be supportive. I don't think people are like gonna like sit
يلقحوا.
down for it. Yeah.
Yeah, or do it anonymously.
Or do it anonymously. That's been great for me.
Yeah, because in the beginning, like I had that same thing where, like Malik said this before, where Libyans are your biggest supporters and your biggest critics.
Yeah.
So أنا قلت نطلعه مرات ما يعجبهمش كلامي ولا نقول حاجة like يفهموني غلط ولا something like that. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want, I don't want it to take away from the idea of the project. ما نبيش تلقيحات like yeah, words are words and words don't mean anything, but like توجع الكلمة, you know, and it can affect you in one way or another. So I didn't want that. So I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do the podcast because this, that. But alhamdulillah, it didn't go as I thought. I haven't gotten any negative comments, and even though I didn't do it anonymously. So I think when it comes to your work, you should just do it and not be afraid to, inshallah, as long as you're doing it, like you said, the right way, you shouldn't be worried at all.
Yeah. It's literally just doing it the right way, pure intentions.
Mhm.
I think anyone should be fine. I
Yeah,
mean, even if you do get critiques, على الأقل منك أنت بروحك, you know what you're doing is right.
right. Right. Because sometimes they're not constructive criticism, like it's just criticism, but it
Yeah.
allows you to be constructive.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes negative comments are always a bad thing.
Yeah.
But thank you, Jennah, very much for being on here today, and thank you for being the first guest on season 2. And hopefully, we see that art project before the summer.
I have school, but thank you so much for having me.
No, it was a pleasure.
Inshallah, لو نفضل, I'll work on it.
Inshallah,
We'll see.
inshallah. My name is Zahreddin Treki, and this has been the first episode of season 2. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.